Hi everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great day. So this is a clip from a previously recorded video. This is a much shorter clip of it. But as always, not financial advice, for entertainment only. Do your own research. And I'm invested in closing companies. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And let's get into the clip. And let's get into our final one, which is going to be on Marathon, and we'll call it a day. So Marathon has, one thing came up also yesterday was the SEC issues a new subpoena to Bitcoin miner Marathon, and here's what it's all entails about. Not sure exactly what it goes into. I didn't read the whole thing. I just saw this yesterday. I wanted to point this out to you guys. So Marathon disclosed a new subpoena from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. The firm indicated that the subpoena relates to its mining facilities in Hardin, Montana, and that the SEC may be investigating whether or not there may have been any violations of the federal securities law. I don't know what violations would be there. They had a facility there. The facility got damaged, and they just shut down operations pretty much because it didn't make any sense for them, I guess, to repair it, or the repairs would have been costly, and they just figured it might have been better off not to do those things. Marathon says it is cooperating with the SEC, which is good, so we'll see what comes of this, if anything at all. Okay, as far as Marathon here, for their update, the only thing that I found interesting was revenues were $51.1 million for the quarter, slightly below prior year revenues of $51.7 million, as a 74% increase in Bitcoin production was more than offset by lower Bitcoin prices in the current year period. And obviously the increase in network hash rate and all that stuff as well contributed to it. Okay, so let's take a look at Marathon really quick, and we'll call it a day. So Marathon has about 189 million shares outstanding. Stock price is around $9 right now, give or take a little bit. Market cap about 1.7 billion. Current hash rate about 14 exahash. Future hash rate is supposed to be 23. They have been mining really good this month so far with everything that's going on with the network hash rate. All these miners have been doing pretty good so far this beginning of the month for May. And that's based on network fees going way up to where the miners were generating another 22, 24, 25% more per day on the BTCs that they were getting as rewards and the fees included in that. So we'll see how May comes in. Might be pretty good for all these miners. But looking at them, they have turned around here ever since late of last year, where they had issues with the facility in Montana. Ever since then, they've kind of turned things around a little bit, got their act together, and have started to increase their hash rate quite nicely. And we can see that they are, like I said, at 14 exahash. And you can see their hash rate growth ever since, well, we had that problem with Montana in June, July. And then ever since then, they have been on a kind of roll here, getting things installed relatively quickly. Sometimes we do have a little lag here in things being plugged in, energized, and up and running. But overall, really good growth here from basically 700 petahash to 14 exahash in about, 10, 12 months. So that's really good. Value, you can see here how much they've been creating as well. And here's a look at the last 4 quarters revenue. So Q2 was 24.9 million, Q3 was 12.69, Q4 was at 28.4, and then Q1 is at 51. It looks like currently the current quarter that we're in, which is going to be Q2, might be around 82 million. This is an estimate based on my numbers right now, depending on what they mine, where Bitcoin price goes, network hash rate, all that. That's going to change, but this is just an estimate right now. The last 4 quarters operating costs, you can see that that has increased in Q1 to 33.3, but that's given. It's a given because they have increased their hash rate so much in the quarter, so that's to be expected. Cost to mine 1 Bitcoin minus depreciation did increase here to 15.2 1,000 per Bitcoin, which is obviously much higher than it was in Q4 at 10.16, but they did install a lot more miners. I'm thinking that with the different sites, different facilities that they're using for hosting that are hosting miners for them, they may have different, obviously, electrical rates, things like that. So that's okay. It's still a little bit on the high side, but they don't have their own facilities. They are using hosting providers, so that's kind of to be expected. They're going to be up a little bit higher. Bitcoin mined quarterly has increased nicely ever since Q3, so that's good. Debt to equity ratio, lower is better. 1.38 is still not too bad. Obviously, that I think is looking at, I think that's looking at the total debt that they do have for like $700 million. That's not due until 2026? Can't remember. Somewhere around there. Then current ratio, higher is better. 16.21. That's no problem. They can pay off their current debt with current assets 16 times over, so that's not an issue there. Total current assets has increased as well to 386 million, and that's based on Bitcoin price going up in value. They do also have, I think, the largest HODL position right now. Hut 8 would be second, and then I believe Riot would be third in that. Total current liabilities is also coming down here to 23.819, so that's good there. Current assets going up, that's also great. Okay, let's take a look at the numbers we have for them. Let's zoom this in. Okay, So current assets, cash and cash equivalents went up to 124 from 103, so that's good. Restricted cash is down to 0 from 8.8. Digital currencies went up to 189 million from 121 million. And let's see, digital currency, what else do we have here? Deposits went up to 11.9 from 2.3. And prepaid expenses went up actually to 60.2 from 40.8. So total current assets came in at 386 million compared to 277 million. So that's good there. Other assets, let's see here. They got 714 million in property and equipment. So that's up from 273 million. Advances to vendors, that kind of got swept over to the property and equipment as they got them. The machines here, investments was 57 million, so that's up from 37 million. Digital currency restricted was 80 million compared to 40 million. Long-term prepaids is up a little bit here to 9.3 million from 8.3. What else do we have here? Long-term deposits is up to 54.4 million from 1.2. Right of use assets is actually up here. We didn't have anything here reported, so that's up to 1.18. Digital assets restricted is 0 compared to 68.8. I wonder if that got swapped over here someplace. Digital assets restricted, digital currencies restricted. That could be it. What they reported here, that could be the difference on those possibly. And then total other assets was 917 million. So that's up from, well, it's actually down here. They're saying 917,624,000 from 917,680. So it's down a little bit here. But total assets actually up to 1.3 billion compared to 1.195 billion. Okay. Current liabilities is 3 million for accounts payable. That's up from 1.3. Accrued expenses is down to 17 million from 22, so that's good. Legal reserve is actually down to 0 now. Operating lease liabilities is actually up a little bit here, $10,000 up. Current portion of accrued and bond interest is up to 2.4, almost 2.5 from 1 million. So total current liabilities is actually down to 23.8 million from 26. So that's good there. Total liabilities is still down. It's actually down to 758 million from 809. So that's at least good. They're paying some of that stuff down as things go on. Total liabilities and stockholder equity, we're at 1.3 billion from 1.195 billion. So that's a nice increase there as well, almost 100 million. And then revenues. So revenues came in at 51.1 million compared to 28.4. And we can see here that that is actually, yeah, I mean, from Q1 of last year, they're down just slightly. Bitcoin price was much higher at that point as well. So it's actually nice to see that they actually came pretty close to that with where Bitcoin is and everything, and network hash rate increases, that they've been able to kind of turn that around a little bit. Cost of revenues, energy, hosting, and other was 33.7, so that's way up from 15, but they have a lot more miners installed, so that's okay. Cost of revenues minus depreciation and amortization came in at 17.7 million. That's actually down from 27 million. So that's good there. Other operating, let's see here. General administrative costs at 15.3 million compared to 30 million. So that's good there. That came down. Impairment of digital assets was actually down to 6.15 compared to 20 million here. So that's good. What else do we have here that kind of went up here? Realized and unrealized gains, losses. So they actually have realized gains here of 17.6 million where they had realized losses of 14.4. So that's good. Total operating expenses came in at, excuse me, 3.8 million. Is that right? 15? No, because we have the positive here. That's why. Negative 3.8 million compared to negative 436 million looks like in Q1. So that's good there. That's a big difference in those two. So that's good there. Operating income loss came in at negative 7.16 million compared to negative 434 million in Q4. They dumped a lot of stuff in there. Excuse me. So net loss came in at 7.2 million compared to negative 406 million for the quarter of Q4. So that's obviously a good thing. It's probably the lowest it's been here in the last couple of quarters that it has. Yeah. So that's good. So they actually lost only 5 cents per share the EPS compared to $3.52, 65 cents, $1.75, 13 cents. So they are doing they're going in the right direction. Okay. Shares, you can see that down here. And looking back at some of the metrics that we do have, cost of mine 1 BTC for me came in at 15.2, it looks like, minus depreciation. And let's see here, debt to equity, we covered that. Book value, 545 million. Price to book ratio, 3.13. Enterprise value at 826. EBITDA came in at 10.4, almost 10.5 million on it. And then revenue, general administrative, came in at roughly 30%. So all good. Good things are starting to happen for Mara, looks like. And let's take a look at the numbers we have here. So I'm looking at them with the last 3 quarters, current quarter that we're in, combined at about 174 million, 50% net income. We're looking at 87 million, PE of 20, $9.19. They're about $9 right now. I think they're a little bit undervalued because they are going to be growing so much more. I think they should be probably closer to the $13 mark as it is on that one. Okay. Otherwise, it's good to see that they are improving in all these aspects that we talked about. They are getting miners installed. They still have a bunch of miners to get installed, and it should be definitely a fun 2023 for them. Hopefully things will turn positive with the EPS and everything else. When that happens, I think the stock should do even better than what it's doing right now. As far as how has it done so far this year, if we look at it here really quick as well, you can see that it's done pretty good on the 12-week, 8 weeks. On the 4 weeks is actually down a little bit. On the last week, it was up a little bit here. So overall, pretty good progress. Okay, so that's it. So let me know what you guys think of it all. Obviously, the spreadsheet is going to be available to my Patreon members. The YouTube members are going to get the printouts of these charts as they are.